Happy Monday! It is a right happy Monday. Sun's out, fun's out again. Now, we're doing a Q&A today for one main reason, and it's because I want you lot to get to know me. So I have done these before on my other social media accounts. They've gone really well, but the main reason I want to do them is because I plan on trying to build a community on YouTube, but I want the people that subscribe to the page to come to the page for me, not just for book reviews and book recommendations, because the internet is a minefield of fantastic content. Like some of these productions that I watch now are insane, but I just ain't got time to spend my life trying to get better at editing videos to make them like a movie for you lot. But there's 8 billion people on planet Earth, and there's only one Tyrone. Well, there's not one Tyrone. Obviously, there's loads of Tyrones, but you get what I'm saying. There's only one me. So my thought process is if I do a Q&A, you get to know me a little bit, and if you like me, you'll sub, and then you'll stay for the long run. Yeah, don't come to this page expecting fantastic productions. If you are new to this channel, I forgot what I was going to say then just expect a real dude talking about books. Look, I'm a 35-year-old Peter Pan wannabe who just don't want to grow up. I just want to take life as unseriously as possible. I don't even know if that's a word, but I don't care. Look, one day we're all going to die. And I say it to my wife all the time when she stresses about stuff. I'm like, babe, one day we'll be dead. Don't worry about it. I am so laid back when it comes to life. So that's what to expect. Laid back, vlog style content. If that sounds up your street and you like reading fantasy books and romantic books, crime books, thrillers, non-fiction, I read what I want, but at the minute I am reading a lot of fantasy, then subscribe. But if you don't, there's loads of people out there that do better productions than I do. Let's get into it. I asked loads of questions to people on my other socials last night. I've made a bit of a schoolboy error because I haven't actually checked the questions, and I'm worried. I am worried because although you're all adults, sometimes you can be quite childish, just like me. We'll see. We'll see what these questions are. If you've asked me any rudy-doody questions or you've been mucky chuffs, you're going to get called out because I'm reading every single question here, and I'm going to try not to digress because I am a bad bugger for digressing. So the first question comes from Bookish Dad. Just to save any confusion here, it's not me. I ain't asked myself a question. There's another Bookish Dad on internet. I don't know who came first. This is like the chicken and the egg argument. After I'd set up my account, I realised that there were another Bookish Dad. I don't know. I'd like to think I came first. I usually do. Do you get it? That's my wife. Oh, I'm so sorry. I took it there. Anyway, what book has helped you the most with mental health? Oh, I wish I'd have read these questions first so I could make this video a bit shorter for you, but I'm going to have to do some thinking. Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass. And I know there's going to be fantasy snobs out there going, Tyrone, that's a terrible fantasy series. The question wasn't, what's the best fantasy series you've ever read before? It was, which book has helped you most with your mental health? And it was Throne of Glass. And the reason that series helped me so much is when I picked that up at the start of 2024, I were in the middle of like a proper depressive episode. I were on 200 milligram of sertraline. I was just medicated to my eyeballs, and I couldn't find anything to be happy about. But I do have a lot of fond memories about that series. Even Assassin's Blade, which a lot of people are like, oh, that book's a bit trash. That's like some short stories within. I thought it was class. I've got loads of good memories. I even remember doing like live reactions to that series. And the joy and butterflies I got when, without trying to give any spoilers, there's a girl called Manon Blackbeak in this series, and she meets a companion at some point. When that happened, I went mad. I stood up, I was shouting, I was like going, go on, Manon, go on. And that was in the middle of a depressive episode. And I've just got so many fantastic memories about the Throne of Glass series. So all I want to say to the fantasy snobs out there, because there are plenty of fantasy snobs who go, yeah, there's a deeper meaning to this book, and oh, that book is nah, 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 nah. And I'm just like, oh, shut up. Just let people read what they want to read. So, yes, there are people out there who like to read books, and they like to find deeper meanings, and they like to look at the political message behind books. But there's also people that like to pick up books and just read a good story, that don't care about that. And as an example, I'm currently reading The Hunger of the Gods, which I don't have to show you. I've just read a scene where, in one of the points of view, they're on a boat and they're travelling to this place. And while they're on the boat, they've got some slaves that they've captured. And they look down and this woman says, oh, this slave's, they're not dead, but they're probably going to die. And they throw the slave overboard. And I picked that up because if you've ever looked into slavery and the history of slavery, it's not even, this happened within the last 100 years. There were policies taken out for slave owners that lost slaves at sea. So what a lot of the time they used to do is, if people were getting poorly and stuff like that, rather than killing them, they'd throw them overboard, and then they'd claim on insurance as lost at sea, which is just wild. So I appreciated reading John Gwynn's book that he'd put that in there, because there's some historical truth to what he said. Some people will read that, skip past it and be like, oh, that's really disgusting, not realising stuff like that actually happened in the past, and that's okay. I don't get why some people almost try and force their own reading experience and the way that they enjoy to read upon other people. I'm digressing. I do this all the time. Throwing a Glass made me really happy. I really, really enjoyed it. Next question. Laura starts reading. What was your favourite book of 2024 and why? Sword of Kaigan. Oh, that book slapped. Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. It blew me away because I didn't know what to expect. I'd not really seen many people talking about it, and I went into it quite blind. The reason it's so spectacular, that book, is because it's unlike any fantasy book I've ever read before, in a sense that the first half/2/3 of the book is definitely fantasy. There's training, there's magic systems, there's political intrigue, there's wars, there's fights, like big battle scenes, and it's absolutely class. But then the last half/2/3 is like a character study about what it's like to be a mum, what it's like to be a woman in society, and the things that you have to give up to care for your children. And it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, just 10 out of 10. And that led me then to read this year Blood Over Brighthaven by the same author, which is equally insane, but covers different subject matter. Really enjoyed that book. Fantastic. The Ginger Nerd's response is, do you listen to audiobooks at all? And I love your channel. Keep being you. I started recently listening to audiobooks a little bit more. I struggle with them, and it's because I've got the attention span of an 18-month-old baby. When I'm reading, I'll often read like a paragraph, and as I get towards the end of the paragraph, I realise halfway through I've drifted off and I've started thinking about maybe what we're having for tea or what jobs I've got to do in the house, and then I have to reread it. The exact same happens, but on steroids, when I listen to books. So usually if I'm listening to a book, it's because I'm out at house, hiking, things like that. And what'll happen is I'll put my earphones on, I'll start listening to books, and then I'll see a bird, and I'll be like, oh, look at that bird's so cute. And then I'll see a tree that I've never seen before, and I'll be like, oh, that tree's such a weird shape. Like, oh, look, that set of trees spells boobs. And then I'm like, oh, no, there's an audiobook I'm supposed to be listening to here. What's just happened for the last 5 minutes? So that's why, historically, I didn't listen to many audiobooks. I did try. However, I got a lot of recommendations from people on my other social media accounts and on here who said to me, right, Tyrone, try this one. This is insane. Try this one. This is insane. And I found a few that really, really worked for me. Firstly, the one that I'm currently listening to, which is Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter. I loved Harry Potter growing up. We all did. Gag for it. Yeah. Someone said to me, Tyrone, you need to try listening to audiobooks. They're absolutely insane. So I did. Stephen Kay. His name's not Stephen Kay, it's Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry has done some magic, like real magic. Like him and Harry Potter got together and were like, right, let's Wingardium Leviosa this book and lift it up more. And that's what they did. They lifted it up, properly up. You know, like they did with the troll and the thing and it, boom. That's what they did. Anyway, so I learned that I need proper good productions for me to enjoy audiobooks. And the only ones that have proper stuck with me, Harry Potter, Dungeon Crawler Carl, it is 10 out of 10. Top tier, masterpiece, production's insane. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, that was fantastic. For the Fans by Nyla Kay, which is a MM romance. Go into that and check your trigger warnings. There's a lot of dirty bumming in that. But I say to everyone all the time, if you're homophobic, you can't catch gay. Promise you. I went into that book and I was like, I'd never read male romance before because I thought I'm not going to enjoy male romance because I'm not gay. I'm not going to relate to anything. That book's sexy as hell. Look, I am as heterosexual as they come. I'm not attracted to men. I love my wife. That book's sexy. Them two boys in that book, they go through some sexy stuff. But it's more than that. It's a story about finding your identity and experimenting. It's wicked, honestly. Try it a day, double day. Even if you read fantasy books, a double day one day to try reading For the Fans by Nyla Kay, which is a male romance. You heard it here first. So yeah, I need a good production, and they're all good productions. I will warn you, if you're going to listen to For the Fans by Nyla Kay, the orgasm sounds, they do make them on the audio productions, like they make grunting and stuff, and it's really uncomfortable. But it just adds to it. Anyway, next question. Hey Good Books says, what book has given you the most joy? Dungeon Crawler Call. I'm not going to touch on it any more than that. Dungeon Crawler Call is just insane. It's about a man in a pair of boxer shorts and some Crocs in a dungeon, trying to get through all the dungeon levels to get back to Earth, because Earth's been taken over by aliens, with a talking cat, and it's fantastic. It's a lit RPG, so it's basically a video game, a role-playing video game in a book. So as they progress through the book, they unlock new apparel, new moves, new classes. I don't know what noise I just made, but that's how I feel about that book. It's just, Shadow Blossom. With the summer coming, will we see a return to the ACOTAR skits? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've had a lot of questions about my ACOTAR skits. So if you've not followed me on my other social medias, in the middle of 2024, when fun were out, I go wild when it's sunny. I was really depressed, and I couldn't pull myself out of a depressive episode. I was on loads of medication, and my brain just weren't working the way that it should work. So I took it upon myself to start acting out scenes from the book A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. If you've ever read these books, go to my other pages, scroll further down, you'll see them. I think they're quite funny. I wouldn't have put them on the internet if I didn't. Anyway, I didn't want to spend any money because I'm tight. I live too close to Yorkshire to spend money, and I started using my children's clothes as props. So if I had a character with black hair, I'd get my daughter's tights and I'd put them on my hair and I'd make ponytails. Lucian, who's a character in that series who's got a glass eye, I'd get the metal goo jars and I'd take the lid off and I'd put it on my eye and I'd sellotape it onto my face to make it look like I had a glass eye. And then I started reenacting scenes, and then I got loads of messages from people saying, Tyrone, this is fantastic, you're helping me so much, I'm in a dark place, you're making me smile. And that made me feel good, knowing that I was helping other people. But 2025, I spoke to my wife and I said, look, I need to be more selfish, because last year I spent so much time trying to help other people, but I forgot about myself, and I gained 6 stone in weight. That's why I am now 19.5 stone, and it's not healthy. So this year, I want to put content out there that I actually enjoy as well, not just what other people enjoy. I don't care about going viral, and I just enjoy doing this. I love coming on camera and talking to like-minded people about books that I enjoy. I like the interaction. I like the social side of social media. And with YouTube, I think sometimes people view it as like an entertainment platform where we can come and watch these fantastic productions, which of course you can. But I'm not going to build my page on that. I want to build my page on people coming and wanting to get to know me. And I feel like these videos are the best way. It's better for my mental health that way. And I think it'll bring the audience that I need along for the ride as well. So never say never. What do you do for a living, Gren13 says. What do I do for a living? This. So I lost my job at the end of 2023. I used to sell cars. I was a car salesman for like 6 years. And then I got sacked, let go, whatever. After my sick leave, they wouldn't support me anymore. They basically said, look, we'd love to have you back, but we can't afford to keep you on sick. So if you get better, please come back to us. And obviously I thought, no, you're not going to support me, then I'm never coming back. And then after a couple of months of posting online, a few companies would reach out and say, I would love to work with you. And I thought, bloody hell, you can make some money doing this. A good thing for me, at least, in my opinion, Grant, is that I don't want anything in life. I don't need a fancy car. I don't want a massive house. My clothes are from charity shops and Primark. And I think when you learn what's important to you in life, you just kind of don't want what else. And for me, what's important is my wife and kids. And I don't need any money to enjoy my wife and kids. So at the minute, at least, I'm enjoying just putting out content and just seeing where this goes. If it gets to a point where I think, I'm not earning enough money, then I could potentially go back and look at a career. But I'm just not that bothered about a career. I'm going to be dead one day. And I don't want to look back in 40, 50 years' time and think I didn't spend enough time with my kids. Because I grew up with a single mum, as I said. I'm a big all my life I've always thought, I want to be there for my kids. I want my kids to grow up and think, I had a fantastic dad. And that's what's important to me. And when I worked in car sales, I was doing 60, 70-hour weeks. I saw my kids, if I were lucky, at bedtime. And I won't go back there again. There's other ways that I can monetize through my pages. A lot of people message me and say, why don't you set up a Patreon, which is like another way that content creators can get an income. So I can put exclusive content on Patreon and people will pay a monthly fee to view that content. But I don't want to start charging people who support me to view my content. But that's a possibility further down the line, if I decide I want to go down that route. I've also got a clothing line. The shop is in the background, so on some of my older social media videos, you'll see that I've got a green hoodie that says Reed's Cope Full of Hope with like a brain made out of books and then a head. That's my own clothing line. I could launch that at any point, but again, I'm just 2025 I want to use to focus on me. I've got a lot of weight to lose. I want to make sure that I am the best version of me for my wife and my kids. And I think spending a year not stressing about how much money I'm making, doing the collabs with companies that I want to do, it'll just give my wife the best husband and my kids the best dad. So hopefully that answers your question. Elaine Ray, what's your favourite book you've ever read? If you'd asked me that yesterday, it'd have been tough. But I think today I'm going to have to say Harry Potter. Because I'm currently re-listening to, I'm not reading it, I'm listening to it now, obviously based on the recommendation, to Chamber of Secrets. I didn't listen to Philosopher's Stone because I actually read that a few months ago, so I remember what happened. But I've not read Harry Potter for years. And it's just that feeling, being back in that world again, is like nothing ever. Oh, it's just 10 out of 10. I get giddy now thinking about it. It just takes me back to my childhood. And no other book, I don't think will ever make me feel the way that the Harry Potter series makes me feel. It is just absolutely sublime. And when you listen to it or read it again as an adult, you pick up on things that you didn't the first time round, like the abuse that Harry suffers from the Dursleys. I think as a kid, you just brush past that and you're like, oh, they're not very nice. But as an adult, you read that and you're like, wow, this kid was being abused. The prejudice there is between like the purebloods and what they call the mudbloods and like muggles and things like that. Like there's a lot of deeper meanings to some of these things that when we were kids we just saw as like fun kids books, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm loving it so much. My plan is to just keep listening to this series and get all the way to the end, and then once I've done that I really want to get in some Harry Potter fanfic, because I get a lot of messages from people telling me to read like Manacled. There's another book, I know there's loads of fanfics. There's a really good one from a woman called Sarah Smile, and she has done she's doing the whole Harry Potter series, but from the point of view of Hermione Granger. So it's called like Hermione Granger and the Philosopher's Stone, Hermione Granger and the Chamber of Secrets. I started reading book 1 about 3 months ago, and then I was like, no, let me put that on hold, do the whole series again, and then I'll get into fanfic. So Harry Potter will always be my go-to series. Sorry. So the next question we've got is from Elaine Ray 4471, who asked, what's your favourite book you've ever read? I think that's pretty easy, actually, answering that today. If you'd asked me yesterday, I wouldn't have had a clue. Today, Harry Potter. Because I've recently started listening again to the series, I've not read it in years. I read book 1 again a while ago, loved it, and I've now started listening to book 2. And it just takes me straight back to my childhood, gives me so many butterflies, so many fantastic memories. No book transports me back into a time like Harry Potter does. It will forever now, I think, be my comfort read. And I said to my wife yesterday, I said, I think I might start doing it every year, just rereading it. Because you pick up so much more as an adult reading these books again. Like how much Harry Potter was abused by the Dursleys. And also the prejudice when you look at the muggles and the purebloods and the mudbloods, and just so much more to this series than we first picked up as kids. So I think I might keep rereading it, but I also want to get into some fanfic. I want to read Manacled, and I know there's a series by a lady called Sarah Smile who started it on Reddit, where she's done the first, I think, 5 books so far, but from Hermione Granger's point of view. So it's called like Hermione Granger and the Philosopher's Stone, Hermione Granger and the Chamber of Secrets. and it's the same story and same plot, but from Hermione's point of view. So that excites me. So yes, favourite series of all time, Harry Potter. Next question, Ali. There was always going to be one. Oh, Ali, you had to go there, didn't you? Am I doing an OnlyFans? I'll be honest, I don't know that there's a market out there for bald, overweight, mentally unwell men. If there is, I don't know. I'd speak to my wife. I'm not sure she'd be down for it. I think she wants this junk in the trunk, kept under wraps. I don't think the wife would be down for that. Unless, of course, money gets really tricky, then maybe that's a conversation for later. Katie Face reads, how's the cycling going? Do you pack a book for the journey? Cycling is going absolutely class. I did 40 miles on my bike last year. As I said, this year I want to focus a lot on me, getting myself healthy, making myself a better person so that I can give more to my wife and kids. I did 40 miles last week. I'm planning on trying to get out 2 or 3 times a week, whether it be hiking or cycling. Does that rhyme? I think it does. So one thing I love about getting back into exercise again, because I used to cycle a lot, is that when I read books, sometimes I can still get distracted. When I go out on my bike or I go for a hike, I don't think about a thing. I can go an hour without literally thinking about anything. I think it's the best way to completely escape everything. And look, this world that we're in, sometimes, especially at the minute, it's just a bit minging, isn't it? And it's nice to forget and pretend that I'm living at 90s again, where life are a bit more simple and just chilled out. So loving cycling. If anyone else lives local to me and cycles, I've got a mountain bike and a road bike. Let's go out. I need to get rid of my boobs, so the more I go out, the quicker I'll be able to see my feet again when I look down. Alhakian90, which Harry Potter book is your favourite? You must have known someone else had asked about my favourite book. Right, I can't answer that question yet because I've not reread these for years, but I always used to say Prisoner of Azkaban was my favourite. I don't know if I'll feel differently now that I'm doing it again as an adult. So for now, I'm going to say Prisoner of Azkaban, but I would imagine, now that I'm an adult, probably the later books, as they get a bit darker, will probably be my favourites, but we'll see. Oh, so Lucy Kells says, how do you actually find the will to carry on? When you're in a really dark place, how do you get out of it? These questions are always hard for me to answer without crying, so I'm going to try my best to answer this one without crying. When I was in my really, really darkest places, I can't, it's so hard to say because I just took it a day at a time. You know, there were days when I didn't want to be here. There were days when I'd sit on the sofa downstairs in my front room and I'd look at my kids and I'd just think, I feel nothing. I felt nothing at all. My kids would be jumping around and smiling, laughing in front of me. And I loved them so much, but I just didn't feel any joy. And I kept saying to my wife, I was like, how am I going to get through this? If I can't even find joy in the things I love most in this life, how can you expect me to keep going? And it was the constant reminder that depression lies to you. That's what got me through it, truly. Every single day I told myself, depression is lying to you. Depression is the biggest, fattest, ugliest, horriblest liar you will ever come across in your life. And it tells you things that just aren't true. So every single day it'd tell me, you're a burden, you know, the negative energy you're putting out there into the world, the stress that you're putting on your wife and your kids and stuff, they'd be better off if you weren't here. You know, just end it. That's what he kept telling me every single day. It kept telling me that. But I kept telling myself that it weren't true. I kept speaking to my wife and I told her these things, you know, as I was going through my worst times, I'd sit down with my wife and I'd tell her exactly how I felt because I was scared. I was so scared of my own thoughts. And I'd say to her, babe, like, that this is what I'm saying in my head. I just need you to tell me that this isn't true. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's just so important that you talk about these things because the only way I got through, genuinely, I mean this, was talking about it. Because if I'd never reached out and spoke to my wife and said, this is what I'm thinking, I won't be here today. There's no way that I'd be here today. And I'm so grateful and happy that I did. Just speak to people, because when you speak to people and therapists and things like that, they're not lying to you. You sit down and they tell you these things and you think to yourself, oh, I've heard it all before. Everyone keeps saying the same thing. And it's because these people that are saying these things to you, they're thinking logically. When you're in that place, you're not thinking logically. And you need to reach out and get people to help you think logically. God, that was a hard question to ask. I knew there was going to be some mental health related in here. Good question. Well done. Luce, I hope you're not struggling. And if you are struggling, please reach out. On my other social media accounts, I've got links on my page. And there's mental health charities. There's so many places you can go to. There's charities. There's phone lines. There's your doctors, your hospital. There's so many places that you can reach out and speak to people. And even if you just ring a charity and have a chat with someone on phone, it'll work absolute wonders, I promise you. Speaking out is just so strong, it's not weak at all. Right, next question. No more crying now. Russ, riding bikes or reading books? Oh, can I do both? I'd have said before reading books, but reading books last year made me gain 6 stone in weight. Both in moderation. I can't answer that, Russell, because I love reading books so much, but I also have found the love again for exercise and trying to better myself. And I don't mean just physical appearance, I mean just feeling better in my own body, being healthier, and trying to have that longevity to be here as long as I can for my kids. Both. Maybe if I get used to listening to audiobooks, I can ride my bike and read books at the same time. Fucking Comedy Pete says, I needed this pick me up. Comedy Pete 1980 says, do penguins have knees? What a random question. Let me think about this. Is a penguin a fish? Right. No, a penguin's not a fish, is it? 'Cause it lives on land and then goes in water, so it's not a fish. I'm going to go with yes, penguins have knees. And I understand why you've asked that question, because they waddle a bit, don't they? I don't know. I'm going with yeah. Yeah, I think they do. Zoe81 says, favourite chocolate and favourite crisps. Favourite chocolate, I'm such a basic bitch. Dairy milk. And my favourite crisps don't exist anymore, I don't think. They used to do a bag of crisps called Brannigan's, and they did a beef and mustard flavoured crisp, and that was my favourite, but they don't do them anymore, so just the thought of Brannigan's is my favourite. Joris1 says, advice on maintaining good reading habits. I can't finish a book without it taking ages. I don't think you necessarily need good reading habits. My main advice would be put your phone down. I think phones are the worst thing for reading. They're what stop us from reading as much as we want to, really, aren't they? So put your phone down. I tend to try and read for half an hour to an hour in the morning when I wake up, because I wake up before kids. And then at night time when I get in bed, I try and make a conscious effort to leave my phone and read my book. And then in the day, if I can pick up in between, I will. So stop using your phone as much. Joris also said, love the passion, very inspiring, wishing you and your family the best. Thank you so much. Sarah the Reading Addict, if you could have dinner with 5 people, famous or not, dead or alive, who would they be? I've been asked this question before, not necessarily 5 people, but like which 5 people would I like to meet? I don't have heroes. I don't aspire to be like anyone else. That's a tough question. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting Zelensky, Putin and Trump together at a minute and just saying, come on lads, bang your heads together and just let's have some world peace, shall we? That'd be nice. But on a serious note, Ellie's great-grandma, so Ellie's great-grandma passed away 2 years ago now, she was 98, and I was really close to her. I don't have my own family. So I do. I've got my mum, my brother and sister who I grew up with, but we're not like a close-knit family. I don't have any aunties, uncles, nans, granddads. I don't know them. I come from a bit of a dysfunctional family in that way. So when me and Ellie got together 8 years ago, I kind of adopted all of her family. So I'm really close to Ellie's grandparents because I've never experienced my own. So I found it quite hard losing Ellie's grandma 2 years ago. Even talking about that. Yeah, having Mildred back just for a sit-down meal would be nice. She'd probably have a ham sandwich with 1 slice of ham, a bag of ready salted crisps and a bit of shandy. And me and Ellie would just raid a cupboard of all the biscuits she's got. So I'll just have a meal with one and I'll have her back for a day. Top 3 books of all time. Oh, that is so tricky. Jenny Marsh asked that. I can't. I'm such a mood reader. I read so many different genres. I don't think I could pick of all time. Harry Potter. Can we just put Harry Potter as one? I'm going to put Harry Potter all together as one. Oh my goodness. I'll probably have to do this later on this year. I'm going to have to do this later. I can't answer that question. Honestly, that is so difficult when you're a mood reader. Because 1 minute I'll fancy crime and love Chris Carter's books and I'll be like, I understand now why these are the best books. And then I'll love reading fantasy books and I'll read like John Gwynn's book I'm reading at the minute. I'm just like, this is absolutely fantastic. So I'll probably need to come back to you on that one and maybe do a genre-specific one. But, I mean, both M.L. Wang books were absolutely insane. Harry Potter I absolutely adore. Dungeon Crawler Carla I adore. Chris Carter's crime books are fantastic. M.W. Craven's crime books are fantastic. I've read some amazing memoirs, some brilliant non-fictions about like World War II and Auschwitz. So difficult. Depends on my mood and depends what I need. Mrs. K. Moores says, what was the book that started off your reading obsession? You're a wizard, Harry. Harry Potter. You know, before Harry Potter, I've got snot and stuff coming now because they're all crying. Before Harry Potter, I did read Shivers and Goosebumps and Roald Dahl and Biff and Chip when I was younger. But Harry Potter was the thing that, like, I sat and binged, and I wouldn't go out and play with friends and stuff, and I'd just sit and just gag for them. Oh, honestly, Harry Potter. Fangirl.lovenotes. What is the one book that you'll always recommend? Dungeon Crawler Call. I think it's so much fun. I think a lot of people, even people that don't like fantasy, will read that book and they'll be like, wow, this is not what I expected. I actually get loads of messages from people saying, I'm so glad I read it. It's like nothing I've read before. And I've told my husband to read it and he's on book 6 now. Like, loads of people say that. It's very good. Georgia is Wandering says, do you have any advice for finding time for reading, exercise and family life? Yeah. Again, put your phone down. Do you know, the amount of time we spend on our phones is insane. We'll get to end of day, and I'm guilty of this as well. I get to end of day and I'll say, where's day gone? I've not had time to do everything. And if I look at my phone, I've probably been on my phone for 3 hours. So yeah, there has been time to do stuff, but I've just chose to sit on my phone instead. So obviously still watch my videos, because yeah, if you all put your phones down, then you won't watch any of my videos. That'd be rubbish, wouldn't it? Without Warning Woodcraft says, who's got more money, Batman or Iron Man? I actually really enjoy these random questions. It's got to be Iron Man, hasn't it? Iron Man's got a massive skyscraper with helipad and stuff. I know Batman's rich, but he's not Iron Man rich. I'm going Iron Man. Got to be Iron Man. Yeah, final answer, Iron Man. This has been really good. I hope this has helped you get to know a bit more about me. Thanks for putting up with my tears and stuff. If you've watched till this point, I love you the most as always. I'm probably not going to do another Q&A for a while now, because I feel like, you know, you've got to know me a bit more now, and we'll go back to talking about books. I'm currently reading Shadow of the Gods no, I'm not. I'm reading Hunger of the Gods, which is book 2 in the Bloodsworn trilogy. Absolutely loving it, gagging for that series. I'll talk to you about that later on once I've finished it. And I don't think I've got else to say to you. I'm just recovering from tears now. Yeah, thanks for making me cry, both of you. Whoever made me talk about my nan and whoever made me talk about mental health. Bloody love you lot. This has been fantastic. We'll check in next time. Don't forget to sub and stuff.